Okay, so today we are looking ahead. So it's Future Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do past, present, and future. So today is Thursday, so we're going to look at a topic that you're going to be covering probably in a week or so um, in your other math class, and that is one of histograms. So histograms are a way to interpret data, or it's a part of what we call data analysis. Okay? So you don't need to worry about what that means yet. We're going to get into that. But this is also entering into the land of what's called statistics. Okay? So, what do we mean by data analysis and histograms and statistics and all this stuff? Well, so if you look here, what we have is a scenario whereby there are bags of trail mix. If you don't know what trail mix is, it's just these little small bags it'll have different kinds of nuts, maybe some raisins and some other things. But some of them actually have all that other stuff, and they have some chocolate candies in there with them. Okay? So, what a certain person did, someone at some time, they just started opening bags of trail mix and counting all the chocolate candies that were in each bag. They wanted to know about how many chocolate candies are in each bag. So they just started opening up bags and counting the chocolate candies. So, for instance, they opened up this bag and they counted 50 chocolate candies. Then they opened up another bag and they counted 42 chocolate candies. On this exercise, let's go ahead and mark these out because there was a mistake in making this little problem, and we don't have room to put those on our graph, and we don't have a place to chart the value. So mark those out. That's all I need to know. We'll just say they miscounted on those bags, so we're not going to worry about those bags. So they just went along counting bags and logging how many chocolate candies were in each bag. Okay? So the first thing we do, and the reason that we're doing this is the reason we do data analysis and we make little things like histograms and pie charts and things like that is because maybe this person worked at a trail mix factory and their boss said, I want to know about how many chocolate candies are in each bag of trail mix. Maybe they were running over in their chocolate candy budget. And so he tells the person that works for him, he said, I want you to sample some chocolate candy bags, see how many chocolate candies are in each bag. Or sample some trail mix bags, see how many chocolate candies are in each bag. Now, the employee that he asked to do that could have just given his boss these numbers. But that doesn't really tell much of a story. His boss he doesn't have time for all that. He needs to know in a glance, he needs to get a feel for how many chocolate candies are in each thing, or in each bag of trail mix. So, the reason we do things like this, create histograms, pie charts, we've been working on mean, median, and mode, is because we want some way to look at sets of data and know something about the whole set of data. We want to know the story of the set of data. So something we can just look at it and get some information from without having to think about each little number here. We don't want to be thinking about all these and trying to make some sense out of it. So we're going to do the work to make some sense out of it, so we can we'll draw a kind of picture of data. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the first thing we do is we look at each of the numbers. I'll erase all this. So let's look let's look at the numbers that we've got. We're not dealing with these. So we look at 50, and we've broken it down here. These are our different intervals, so there's a range, so between 1 and 20. So we want to count how many of these numbers up here fall between 1 and 20. Well, I can tell you there is none. So we have 0 of those, okay? But what about 21 and 40? Okay, how many numbers fall between 21 and 40? Well, let's see. Looks like we have that falls between 21 and 40. That falls between 21 and 40. So does that. So does that. So it looks as though we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can mark those out. We're done. So that's one way to do it. Oh, excuse me. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bags that the number of chocolate candies fell between 21 and 40. So that's one way we can do it. Another way to do it is we know our different intervals down here. So let's just look at it now. We've already taken care of these, so we're done. We don't have to look at those anymore. But let's just take it number by number, okay? So let's look at 50. Where does 50 fall? 50 falls between 41 and 60. So we make a mark. We mark 50 out. What about 42? 42 falls between 41 and 60. So we mark that out. 45 falls between 41 and 60. 68 falls between 61 and 80. 67 falls between 61 and 80. 61 doesn't fall between 61 and 80, but 61 is included in that set, so we'll put it in the 61 to 80, right? I guess we should say 61 through 80. So 75, once again. 62, once again. 64, once again. 49 falls between 41 and 60. Okay. 55 falls between 41 and 60. 51 falls between 41 and 60. We've already taken care of that one. That one was a mess up. 96. That's going to fall between 81 and 100. So we put a mark there. We're done with our 96. 64, our next number, falls between 61 and 80. And finally, 82 is going to fall between 81 and 100. So now we've accounted for each one of our numbers, and we put them in the proper place on our frequency table. Now let's total them up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 all in the bracket from 41 to 60. We have 1 in the bracket from 61 through 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And between, or in the bracket 81 through 100, we have 1 and 2. Now that tells us a little something, and we can start to see, looks like we have around, between 41 and 80 is where most of them lie, but there are some down here between 21 and 40 and a couple between 81 and 100. So a histogram, that's simply, you might have heard bar graph. It's similar to a bar graph, bar chart. So we have our interval from 21 through 40. Well, we actually have this interval from 1 through 20, but we had none that fell within here. So there's nothing we do there. So from 21 to 40, what do we end up with? 4, right? So here's the 4. So what we do is we make a bar graph. We'll draw these as straight as we can. Okay, so that represents there's 4 of the bags contained between or 21 to 40 pieces of candy. Okay, now what about 41 through 60? Well, if we look up here, 6, right? So we're going to make a nice little bar here. It's going to go all the way up to 6. I'm a little above the line, but I'm supposed to be right on the line. So that covers our 41 through 60 interval. What about 61 through 80? We go up here and we see 7. Okay, so that's going to look something like that. That's supposed to be right on that line. It's a little above it, but you'll have to use your imagination a little bit. So what about, well, that covers 61 through 80. What about 81 through 100? So 81 through 100, we go up here. 2 bags of candy had between 81 or 81 through 100 pieces, 2 bags of trail mix had from 81 to 100 pieces of candy within them. So only 2 bags. So we look at our 2, we follow the line all the way across, and we make our final bar. And this is a histogram. Now, something that we normally do, and I will do really quickly, and this is what I want you to do, on your work, is we're going to color these bars in here. So I want you to color them in solid color so I can see the outline. If you miss class, if you were in class today, we've already done this. If you miss class, you can just color it in with your pencil, or if you have a highlighter or a marker available, go ahead and do that. Just color it in, make it look pretty. I'm going to put some of these up on the wall. It's taking a little longer than I really needed to, but I think you get the point. We color it in. So these are still our bars, but I hope you can see by now that this picture that we've created, it really represents this whole data set in just a glance. So that's why we create histograms, that's why we create pie charts, that's why we have mean, median, and mode, is because we want to know something about the data without having to look at every piece of data and just think about it. We're really not even able to do that in most cases. This is a very small set of data, but what if there was 1,000 of these numbers? What if there were 1,000 of these numbers right here? Could you make any kind of sense out of it just by looking at 1,000 different numbers? No, probably not. So you would need something like this, because we don't have that kind of time. We need to look at it and get the information we need out of it. So that's what histograms do, amongst other things that we're going over in our data analysis section. So this is coming up. You haven't covered this yet, but it is coming up in your class. So what I would like for you to do, if you miss class, I need you to complete the exercise just as I've shown right here, coloring it in. And also, we're going to do the same thing here. This one has a few more data points, and your graph is going to look different, but it's going to be done the same way. So this is a little look forward into something that's going to come up probably next week for most of you. So I hope this helps out and gives you a little better understanding. I'm sure they're going to go in greater detail in class, but in a nutshell, this is histogram. So good luck.